Max Holloway just defended the BMF belt. Dustin Poirier just rode off into the sunset. And UFC 318 overall was an exciting card with a whole bunch of upsets. So the question now is, who should these fighters fight next? My name is Angelo. This is Josh Thompson, and welcome to a What's Next episode for all the fighters at UFC 318. Josh, what did you think of that fight card?
I thought it was a great fight card. I mean, if you were going to rank it, though, between 1 and 10, what would you give it?
I would separate the prelims and the main card for sure. The prelims were much better. The prelims were like a 9. The prelims were great. Good back and forth fights when there were decisions. There were plenty of finishes. The main card slowed down a little bit, but I would say the main card was a 6.5, 7. It was a good card overall.
Oh, wow. Wow, you're way down there at 6.5 and a 7?
Yeah, dude. Like the main event was good, but there was a couple of it wasn't quite what we were hoping for. Paulo Costa, Roman Kopylov, that wasn't an exciting fight. It was just an upset. It wasn't like a back and forth war. D-Rod and Kevin Holland was a phenomenal fight. Patricio Pitbull just held on to Dan Ige, and Michael Johnson won that fight because Zel Huber did nothing. So it wasn't like the upsets made it seem exciting, but there was only one war on that card, and it was, or on that, in that main card, and it was D-Rod and Kevin Holland. Because I wouldn't consider the main event the war. Max Holloway was winning that. The second round was incredible. The other rounds were all just Max.
Well, first round he got dropped too, and then the second round, you gave the second round to Dustin?
Dustin, yeah.
I did too.
Yeah.
Big John didn't.
How not?
He just, because Dustin got dropped in the first, and Max won majority of that round. The only part that Dustin won that round was the last minute.
Yeah, that's the only part that matters. He dropped him. He jumped guillotine. You only care about the second half of a round. So.
Yeah. I mean, look, my argument was, look, if I got dropped in the first part of the round and you did everything you could to get rid of me, and then I came back and fucked you up, I deserve more of a reward for that.
Yeah, you came back.
Like you literally punched yourself out on my fucking face, and now I'm here to take care of you. And man, when he jumped Gilly, I just about fucking shit myself because I was
rooting for it. Yeah, I was rooting for it. It's like that would have been the greatest ending for any fighter. Period. Ever. End of story. Because right now the greatest ending for a fighter is probably Robbie Lawler. Absolutely. He went out with a huge knockout. I was there in person. People were crying. Were Dustin Poirier to jump guillotine at home, a submission he's quite literally never gotten, even though he's tried it a gazillion times, that in a fight that he got dropped 5 times in the first 7 minutes, that would have been a picture perfect. But Max just immediately flopped to his hip, and then that guillotine was gone instantly.
But he had mount. He finished the fight in mount, and he was dropping elbows, and you could basically say he was saved by the bell.
He was closer. Dustin was closer to finishing that fight than Max was.
Yeah, I would say.
I will say, though, it did also look like Max a few times let off.
I did notice that. People were bringing
he had him against the cage and was like...
I don't see that. I don't see that.
You don't think so? It looked like he let off, man. That first round, it looked like he could have put Dustin away and then just
the first round was the one that I noticed where it looked like he let off. Like he dropped him and Dustin looked like he was struggling to get back up, sit up. So you knew he was hurt. And then he took a big shot too. But then, I don't know, it could be Max that just was trying to pick and choose his shot, trying to land one and get him out. Versus, if I barrage you and leave myself in a bad position, Dustin's the better top position fighter. Grappler. I wouldn't say better grappler, just a better top position fighter. If it goes to the top position where Dustin's on top, he's a big body frame, thick, strong. That's going to be... Where Max is I don't want to live down there with you. It doesn't matter if I'm able to land a clean, hard shot, whatever it is. I don't want to be down there trying to get back up. So I could look at it that way. And man, but I'd put some money down on to win by Gilly. Not Gilly, but I went to win by submission. Yeah. If he would have won, it would have plus 1,300 for him to win by submission at all in the whole fight. And then I picked every round. And it was all the way up to 6,000. I mean, it was 8,000, plus 8,000. And if he won in the 5th round by Gilly, it would have been plus 8,000.
Yeah.
Regardless, I mean, if he'd have won in the second, I would have ended up walking away with about $5,500. Shit.
Yeah, I mean, the odds are like that for a reason. And,
it's
very unlikely.
No, I understand, but so is the Kevin Holland fight, right? Very unlikely. It was a fucking plus minus 1,400 or something by the time the fight started for D-Rock.
To do what?
To lose, to win. Sorry, to win.
No, it wasn't that dramatic for D-Rod to win, but he was definitely a big underdog. The biggest underdog on the card was Michael Johnson.
D-Rod to lose, Kevin Holland to win. Like Kevin Holland, I think was up minus 1,400.
No, not straight odds. That was probably to win by finish, or that was definitely a prop bet that you were looking at. But he was definitely a huge favorite. I think he was 3-1. The biggest favorite on the card was Daniel Zel Huber, and that bum did nothing. We'll talk about each individual fight. Let's start there. They're the main card opener. Let's start there. Michael Johnson, the biggest underdog on the card, beats Daniel Zel Huber. He drops him. He controlled the striking. Daniel Zel Huber quite literally did nothing. He didn't do anything at any point to try to win that fight. He just assumed going into this, I'm going to be better everywhere. And then when he wasn't, he didn't know what to do. He didn't panic wrestle. He didn't panic throw bombs. He did nothing. It was frustrating. Yeah. It made no sense whatsoever. With that being said, Michael Johnson, tried and true vet. He's fought quite literally everybody. You can name any fighter in the top 10 in the last 15 years, Michael Johnson's fought him. So if we go forward, what do we do with Michael Johnson? Because he's 38 years old. He's not going to be getting near a title anytime soon, but he is on a random, out of nowhere, 3-fight win streak and just beat a massive prospect. Who do you have Michael Johnson fighting next?
I mean, just to be 100% honest, man, the fight really to make, because like you said, he has no one, like there's guys in there that he's fought pretty much all the top guys, you know, and some he's beaten in the past and some he's lost. I mean, he's got to win over Dustin Poirier.
Yeah.
Think about that. Like, I mean, like that's fucking insane, right? Just his career didn't go the way that Dustin's went, and stylistically just didn't have the wins that he needed to get himself into that top number 1, 2 spot like Dustin has. But like you said, yeah, Darius Flowers, Azatara, or whatever his name, and then Daniel Zel Huber. Zel Huber had a lot of hype around him. But for me, I have MJ, and then he lost to Diego Ferreira, and then
he got flatlined by
Diego Ferreira or whatever it is, you know. But look, I don't know, man. There's a couple ways I want to go this way, but it's gonna mess up my main event one too. But there's two guys. There's two guys for him that we could see fight. You have, obviously, the one to me is the Dan Hooker fight. That to me, why?
You're giving Dan Hooker to Michael Johnson?
What I'm saying is, and that's where it kind of messes up, because that messes up my main event though too.
Yeah,
but I'm
correct.
saying, like, but look, he's 38, 39 years old. What, like, put him in
I have an idea.
He called for the Justin Gaethje fight, I believe.
Yeah, that's stupid. Don't do that. Justin's too close to actually maybe fighting for a title. Michael Johnson's nowhere near that.
Oh, I get that part. But you're 38 years old. I'm going to have this same argument with Patricio Pitbull in a second. At that age, you got to get both somewhere. You got to get him somewhere in the middle. You got to give him somebody that you know they can fight. He's going to beat up all your prospects if you keep doing this, and that's what you don't want to happen. They wanted to see if Zel Huber could sink or swim. That's what they did. They gave him Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson's not an easy fight. He can wrestle. He's got fast hands. Even at fucking 39 years old, I'm jealous as fuck. Like, I'm so slow now compared to what I was before. I mean, but this guy, he's just whap, 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 whap. I mean, just whap, 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 whap.
I was just saying, you just started singing
Kendrick Lamar right there, right? But I'm gonna probably put him somewhere up in that top position. I know Dan Hooker's probably thinking fight. I'm leaning towards somebody else, but he's probably thinking somewhere in that titles position. But for the fans, for a fan favorite fight, you got to give Michael Johnson to someone like that. You got to stylistically match them up towards the end of their career to excite them. Dan Hooker will excite him. Justin Gaethje will excite him. They fought before. It was one of the greatest fights in UFC history. Like, you got to throw it out there, because what's he doing? Are we just going to have him keep beating up all your like younger guys coming up? Or are we going to have him fight guys that no one's ever heard of? He's an exciting fighter because he stands, he bangs, he's takedown defense. He will come aggressively. I know it doesn't make sense, but I'm just saying, at that age, what are we doing? Put on the best fights you can. Fighters have this problem Fighters have this issue when you're on your way out. You know you're getting older. Give me opportunities, man. Things that motivate me. I've been doing this for 20 years. Give me someone that motivates me. You know, I mean, look, I got to be honest. If Cowboy Cerrone was to come back at 155, which I don't think he will, come back at 70.
He's enormous.
Come back at 155, that would be the fight.
Yeah, listen, that one's not terrible. Every other name you put out there was an absolute Terrible idea. Like just not good. I disagree with all of it. What I would do is Michael Johnson, I agree. You don't want to just keep feeding the prospects because that is the normal MO, right? You take an aging vet, you build a prospect's name off that. Michael Johnson isn't quite popular enough to use him to build up your young up and comers. And he could potentially beat them. So I agree with old versus old. Give him Money Moicano. Money Moicano is old and popular, and Moicano needs a win. This is a potential win. If Moicano can't beat Michael Johnson, that's kind of end of like this whole era of Moicano. So I think Moicano and Johnson, they're both old. They both, if they win, great. If they lose, kind of stinks for Moicano. Doesn't really matter that much for Michael Johnson. So I think Michael Johnson versus Money Moicano makes more sense than any of the names you threw out there for sure.
You're talking about what makes sense. I'm talking about at 38 years old.
But that's a fun fight too.
I want to.
Moicano's ranked way above him. Yeah, Moicano just fought for a title.
If he gets to stop with the title shit, it's not like he was there in the top number 1 or 2. Okay,
fought for it.
Calm down.
Fought for it.
Calm down. Calm down. Okay. What I do like about that Money Moicano fight was that they're both from Florida. They both are from rival gyms. You know, that's something you could definitely do. You know, one down the street from ATT and the other one down the street at Kill Cliff. So it does make sense. I'll give you a little nod on that one. I'll give you a little nod. I'm thinking in terms of what would be a fan favorite fight, you know, and I would, to me, it would be, you know, it would be that. It would be Dan Hooker. Sure. It'd be Dan Hooker. It'd be a real fight. Dan Hooker and MJ, and it would be.
I don't disagree. We'll get to the Dan Hooker. I have other ideas for Dan Hooker because I agree. Dan Hooker's a guy you got to be careful with him because you can't waste him. You know you're going to get an absolute war out of him, and you got to use it when you can because he's also falling apart physically. Just kind of surgery here, surgery there. This is broke, that's broke. So I don't want to waste him in a fight like that.
Shit. He's getting his bad surgery here, surgery
rock solid. No surgeries.
You got a lot of meat holding those bones together, huh?
Yeah, it's rock solid. Agreed. It's rock solid. If we go to Daniel Zel Huber, he's in a tough spot. Based off my personal feelings while watching that fight, he should be cut, immediately cut, eliminated from the roster to show up, do absolutely nothing. Listen, I understand people losing. Everybody's dogging Kevin Holland for his loss. Kevin Holland tried to win that fight. He tried to win. He did everything possible in his power to win that fight. He just wasn't the better man at that time, and that is what it is. These are fist fights. Daniel Zel Huber didn't even try. Didn't even try. Going into the third round, down 2 rounds. At that point, jump guillotine. Anything. Try something. Nothing. So now we have a guy with no sense of urgency coming off a pretty bad loss where he was your tremendous favorite. We have seen him in some decent fights with some dog in him. We've seen some stuff out of him, but he's not who we thought he was going to be. He is kind of young, so there is time to potentially get him there. What do you do with Daniel Zel Huber?
I give him, it's a sink or swim situation right now. I mean, to me, I didn't see any dog in him, and why not match him up against someone who needs to get a win at some point in his career? A Michael Chandler. Like, throw him out there. Michael Chandler can't seem to buy a win right now. Look, I get what you're saying.
This is the worst.
But you want to cut him.
Worst show you and I have ever done.
You want to cut him.
Terrible.
You want to cut him.
Yeah, so why waste? Michael Chandler's still a draw.
Waste the Michael Chandler. He's fucking 38 years old. He can't buy a win right now.
Nice.
You're ridiculous. Okay, then you can give him Grant.
You want me to? We could end this and then start over, and you can have better.
No, you're ridiculous, man. This is like a true couch warrior, man. They should just cut this guy. He sucks. Like
that was called sarcasm, but you weren't even joking when you said Michael Chandler.
You literally was screaming at man, like this guy fucking sucks. He wrecked just because he fucked up your parlay. You're all pissed off.
He did.
Yeah, he did. Fuck. I know you did. You're the guy that always takes like 4 or 5 favorites and like one guy who's barely an underdog to try to hedge.
I picked some dogs on this card. They lost, but I picked them.
Yeah. They lost.
Thought Marvin Vittori was going to win. That didn't happen.
Oh man. But yeah, I would give him somebody like, look, Michael Chandler can have a resurgence if he gets a win over him, and Zel Huber being young, but look, dropping the fights that he's dropped, like they're not. What's bugging me if I'm the UFC is that you have no sense of urgency. You knew you were losing the fight going into round 3. Your coaches should have pushed you, and I love Eric Nixick. But in this situation, should have been yelling and screaming like, you need to knock him out. You need to take him down and finish him. You need to do something. He was out there fucking playing touch butt in the park. It was ridiculous watching him get like no sense of urgency, just touch. Okay, kick to the head. I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, I was screaming at the TV, like, go get him. Go get him. He's 38 years old, 39 years old. He's getting tired. For sure he's tired. Go get him. Nothing at all.
Wildly frustrating.
You're not going to use it to your advantage. What good is it to be young if you're not going to use it?
I completely, that's what I'm saying. Like, listen, pulling guard, all that stuff is embarrassing. But if you're in the third round of a fight that you are very clearly losing, you need to finish. Do anything. Literally anything to try anything different. The same isn't working. I would go. And in all seriousness, Michael Chandler is still a draw. I wouldn't waste him on something like that. I would do, because you could run back and
beat Zel Huber. Then what are you talking about?
I agree. I'm not saying he's going to beat him, but he's.
Who are you going to have Michael Chandler fight? He can't beat any of those top 10 guys. Top 15.
He doesn't need to beat him, though, but you can still bill it and get an exciting fight out of it. This is what I would do with
the
Zel
rankings.
Huber.
People are lost interest.
Yeah, but you have a personal vendetta against him.
No, I'm not. I look, and I agree with you. I do have one against him, but I'm simply saying I'm giving him, this is an easy fight for Michael Chandler. It should be. And if it's not, then look, the other aspect of this is in promotional standpoint there, Angelo, I'm paying Michael Chandler $890,000.
That's why you have to make him like a co-main event somewhere versus Zel Huber isn't going to be it.
Give him somebody he can win and be exciting again. Right now, he's getting knocked out and submitted. He got fucking dominated by Patty Pitbull. Destroyed. All those other guys. Grant Dawson would do the same shit to him.
Oh, yeah.
Benoit Saint Denis would do the same shit to him. Like, all of these guys would fuck him up. Give him Zel Huber and figure out if Zel Huber wants to be a fighter or not. Do you want to be a fucking fighter? Let's find out.
I was going to say Drew Dober for Zel Huber. Drew Dober needs a win. He's lost 3 in a row. He's an exciting guy. He's also he's not old yet, but he's getting there. And he's a guy, he'll never be anywhere near a title, but give him some fun fights. People who will stand with him. We just saw Zel Huber's not going to wrestle. So people who will stand with him and, let Drew have a fun Drew Dober fight. And I think he could touch up Daniel Zel Huber.
You might as well give him Bobby Green.
You know what? Bobby Green is on my list right here. Agreed.
So you're okay. So you went from wanting to cut him, like get him out of here, screw him, get rid of him, cut him, to now let's go ahead and build him back up because he's a young guy.
Well, if I give him the Drew Dober, I think Dober wins. That was a favor for Drew Dober. He's on a 3-fight skid. He needs a win.
If he loses to Dober, do you cut him then, or do you say go get some wins somewhere else and then come back?
I mean, he doesn't deserve to be cut just yet, but. He's actually, if he loses to Dober, that's 3 losses in a row. So yeah, back on the cut train. Yeah,
interesting.
Let's get rid of him. We have
get rid of your young talent.
Then we have Kevin Holland and D-Rod. These two went after it. Kevin Holland was a huge favorite. He ended up losing this fight, and everybody immediately wants to pile on. You can't count on Kevin. Kevin as a favorite is a joke. And you know what? Historically speaking, Kevin Holland is a very unserious fighter. Talking to people, he doesn't seem to care. But that's not what we got in this fight. He tried to win this fight. I think he was just surprised by how much power Daniel Rodriguez actually has. We knew D-Rod was a very good boxer, but that was kind of it, right? Doesn't kick, doesn't wrestle, just straight up clean boxing. He happened to land a few times, and I think that early success through Kevin, kind of set the tone for the rest of the fight. Like, oh shit, I'm getting hit, and this guy hits hard. I think there's still a lot of, when we talk about matchups here, there's a lot of potential for Kevin Holland in the future. The guy fights once a month. I think we're fine on his side. Daniel Rodriguez is the one where it gets a little tricky because he's another guy. There's a lot of, the median age on this card felt like it was 38. There's a lot of old fighters on this card. Daniel Rodriguez is jerk. He's on his own 3-fight win streak right now. So all of a sudden, D-Rod has found a couple of wins in a row. Decent ones. Kevin Holland's a decent win. Alex Morono was a decent win. Ponzinibbio's an okay win. So now he's on his own little 3-fight win streak. He's 38, 39 years old. He's kind of a one-dimensional guy. So if you're looking at matching him up, things are a little tricky. What do you do with D-Rod?
Oh, what do I do with D-Rod?
D-Rod,
that's easy for me. That's easy for me. You give him Gilbert Burns.
Perfect. Sure.
I think that's the perfect fight. They're both old at 38 years old, I think, somewhere around there. And Gilbert needs to get a win, and D-Rod just coming off of a win. Gilbert's got a bigger name, obviously, having a lot more success fighting for the welterweight title before. Like he's been around for a bit and he's had some great wins. So when I'm talking about who I would want to see him fight, have him fight another old guy. Have him fight Gilbert Burns. That's the fight to make, I think. Like that one's gonna get even catapulted even further up into the rankings, which is D-Rod's style will make it a fun fight. You don't have to worry about two old guys like just hanging out on each other. Like you're going to see action in that fight. D-Rod brought the action in that fight. And moments at the end of that second round, I was like, bro, he's about to fucking fall over. He's so tired.
Yeah.
And then he dug deep in the third and was like, he was making it a fight. I was like, holy shit, this guy is tough. So yeah, I would say that.
Yeah, I don't hate the Gilbert Burns matchup because they're both old and you're in a similar situation where Gilbert Gilbert's had 4 losses in a row. Like you're not going to build them back up. Mm-hmm. So you either, and there's also only above him in the rankings are people that are either on win streaks or, people he fought, nothing real beneficial there. So if I'm looking at D-Rod, him versus Gilbert makes sense. They're both right there. Or then you have to start leapfrogging, and then you got to go D-Rod versus Randy Brown. But I think they're at different points in their career, right? Randy Brown is actually working his way towards something. D-Rod really isn't. He's there. He'll be fun. He'll have some good matchups. So I do think you have to go Gilbert Burns with D-Rod.
Yeah, you got to get him into the rankings as fast as you possibly can. That's what I think for that situation. What do you do with Kevin Holland?
Kevin Holland, it's funny because I don't have a name next to it because I don't think it matters. Because Kevin, it doesn't matter what we come up with, what we put together. I can't remember the last time we had a Kevin Holland opponent for a full 6-week fight camp. It's always just like all of a sudden, 2 cards from now, Kevin Holland's on there because somebody lost an opponent to a new matchup. So I don't even have a name. I don't think it matters. I think any fight you put Kevin Holland in is going to be interesting because you're going to, which Kevin's going to show up? What's he going to look like? What's he going to do? So I think we're good with anything for Kevin. Like, I don't think you need to throw him. He doesn't necessarily need somebody ranked. Like, I don't have a name because to me, it doesn't matter. I'll watch a Kevin Holland fight and, anybody above him is in a, he just beat Vicente. Like there's not a name that jumps out.
Oh, there is one for me. There's actually 2 that kind of jump out to me.
Hold on. If you say Jeff Neal, is he on your list every week?
He's not on my list this week, buddy. He's not on my list. I think Kevin needs to keep doing what he's doing because, like I said, he's still young enough. We can still kind of build him up. He's still fun, and people love him. But you know who's also become a really good hill during this last probably year, I'd say, is give me fucking him and Brian Battle.
That could be a really fun fight. My only pushback on that whatsoever is Brian Battle's on the 4-fight unbeaten streak. Meanwhile, Kevin has 2 wins in his last 5. So it's kind of a mismatch there, but I don't, that's a fun fight. I'd watch that fight.
What do you mean by mismatch?
Like they're just sort of on different trajectories right now. Brian Battle's
won his last couple fights.
That's what I'm saying. And Kevin Holland hasn't.
He just lost yesterday and he won 3 in a row. Like what? He's beat.
Yeah, and before that he got dog walked by Renier de Rider. Before that he got finished by Roman Dolidze. Before that Michael Venom Page smoked him.
He was living in
the
Before
money, that Wonder Boy smoked him.
He made a couple $1 million. He made almost $2 million to fight fucking Chimaev on.
I agree.
Hour notice. He was living his best life. Give the guy a break, man. He's rattled off a couple good wins. He beat Vicente Luque when Vicente Luque was still ranked. I mean, like, I'm sorry, but Brian Battle's nowhere near the rankings. Nowhere near. And if you actually look at like some of the other rankings, like number 20, and they're ranked
Tapology, Brian and Kevin are neck and neck.
Yeah, neck and neck. So I was looking at that and I'm like, hey, that's actually a good matchup. I also like the Jake Matthews fight. That's a tough fight for Kevin Holland. But Jake Matthews is a tough fighter. He's coming off that great win he had, last weekend or 2 weekends ago?
Yes.
So, he's got a fight there. I would say more Brian Battle only because Brian's starting to become a pretty big hill. He's only got 2 losses. He's getting good on the mic. Like, as much as you can get the fucking mic in front of him and let him tell Paris people they're weak and shit, I love it. Anytime you can do that, I love it.
Well, and the Brian Battle one Brian Battle's booked in August. If he wins that fight, I don't think you do Kevin Holland. If he loses that fight, then it is perfect. They're both coming off losses. It'll be a fun fight, and let's get somebody back in the win column.
Okay. I see how you are. Don't care about anything else.
Well, I actually focus on like what matters, and you're just like, this is fun, and then you just make shit up.
look, in this position, you shouldn't care what matters. Neither one of them are ready to be in the top 10, so don't care. You put together what are the best fights as a promoter in this situation. Like, what fights can get both these guys the recognition? Okay, until you get to a point where they both coming off losses and no one gives a fuck about them anymore. Like, that's really for the rankings to try to keep them in the top 10 or 15. But outside of that, I'm putting on the best and most exciting fights that I possibly can. Unless I'm trying to build a young, talented guy, which Kevin Holland's been around enough. He's already built his name.
Yeah,
Brian Battle's been around. He was on The Ultimate Fighter, all this other shit. Like, there's guys for him to, there needs to be guys for him to build off of. Both of these guys right now are good. They're getting better on the mic. They're developing their following. Have them fight. Have them fight each other. And then the winner's going to come out on top. And then maybe you create a little animosity between each other. I bet you Brian Battle would fucking talk some hellish shit to him.
I imagine they'll start jawing at each other for sure.
Oh yeah.
Then we have another old. We have Patricio Pitbull and Dan Ige. Yeah. Obviously, that fight wasn't quite the banger a lot of people were hoping it was going to be, and that's because Dan Ige has always struggled a little bit with wrestlers, and Patricio came out tried and true wrestler. Mm-hmm. We knew Pitbull was good, but he's a little old. And he's not just a regular old. Mm-hmm. He's an expensive new addition to the UFC old. So they got to figure out what they're doing with him quick. They're not in a position to be like, here's a random fun fight. They have to move him up as quickly as humanly possible. And I think the only matchup that makes sense for Pitbull right now is Josh Emmett. Old versus old. Josh Emmett's like, I want a big fight. I want a big name. Honestly, Pitbull kind of is. I think that's the only matchup that makes sense, especially if you look at the rankings of that weight class.
Really? You're going that way?
Because I feel like since we share money with the UFC, we spent all this money on Pitbull. He was not a cheap get. He is a wildly accomplished fighter, one of the most accomplished fighters of all time. He does have a fan base that came over from Bellator. And, we get Josh Emmett, who will still put on an exciting fight, but he's old, old. He's not getting to a title really anytime soon. He's just demanding big fights. He's refusing to fight some of the prospects. Pitbull's not a prospect. He's also older. He's accomplished. You always talk about a fight that gets you excited. If that doesn't get Josh Emmett excited, then what does? He is one of the most accomplished fighters that we've ever had, period, in or out of the UFC.
Okay, so now you're just avoiding everything. You want to go right to banger fights now, right?
And it makes sense in the rankings. I mean,
yeah, because he's going to take over Dan's spot at, I think, at number 11. I mean, I was leaning more towards, I get what you're saying. I was leaning more towards because he wants to make his run. And you're going to say Josh Emmett, sure, that's a great fight. I think it's a fantastic fight. But I would probably give him somebody hey, we're going to see if this is going to work or not. We don't have time. So there's the only person that I see really outside of that would be I'd put him right up there with Arnold Allen, who hasn't fought in a long time. Get the two of them in there. And look, you're going to be in the top 4. The Yair Rodriguez fight, for anybody who's a little bit older and Patricio style, is just shitty. The UFC knew what they were doing. Let's give him Yair and see if it happens, right? And it didn't work, and it ended up being one of those fights. Just Yair's just too fast, too long, all of those things. But I mean, I think the Arnold Allen, he will bring the action, he will push the pace, and at this age, Patricio needs someone that will bring it to him. I expected Dan Ige to bring it to him like he's done to everybody else. I think what happened is he felt a couple of the shots and was like, "Oh, this is a little bit different." And that's one thing that Patricio has and I think a lot of people respect him. Yair Rodriguez was saying, I got nothing but respect for that guy. He's been a former champion multiple times over. I'm sure there's rumors around, how good he is inside the gym and how much power he has, all of those things from Henry Cejudo to other guys that he's trained with. I mean, his brother's got a ton of power. So it's it runs in the family. I think that the Arnold Allen fight would make some sense in terms of we're paying him a lot of money. They're probably paying him anywhere between $600,000 to $700,000 a fight. So I mean, somewhere around that.
That is a lot. If that's what they're paying him.
Let's get him somewhere into that mix of the Arnold Allen. You either make this run or you don't. And it wasn't the first 2 fights for him just weren't impressive. And I'm a huge Patricio fan, man. I'm glad he got the win. The reason why I'm glad he got the win is not just because I wanted him to win because I'm friends with him, but also, and I'm friends with Dan. At this stage, getting that little monkey off your back.
Validation.
Yeah, in the UFC, get your first win in the UFC. I know it's late in your career at 38, 39, but I was happy for him. Really happy for him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was a solid win. He earned it. Again, Dan Ige is not a pushover by any means whatsoever. So no, it was a good win for him. I get the logic with Arnold Allen, especially if you're like, hey, well, we're getting you to the top. I was doing that with Josh Emmett, and I figured they're both old, so you can make it happen. Or you could do same exact logic. Diego Lopez and Jean Silva fight at Noche UFC.
Mm-hmm.
If Diego, give him the loser of that.
Yeah.
The loser of that immediately gets you right up there, especially if it's Diego, because Diego just fought for a title. If he fights the loser of that fight, and if it's Diego, it's an exciting fight. It's a fight that matters for both of them. So you get somebody a little closer. So, any of those matchups I think makes sense for Pitbull.
Yeah, I actually love the the Diego Lopez and Jean Silva fight. Like if after that one's done, the loser of that, whatever, or the winner of that, you fight, whatever it is. However you want to match that up. I just like the Arnold Allen one only because Arnold hasn't fought in a while.
He's been out. He must be injured, right? Because it has been a long time.
He's on X quite a bit. So I mean, I follow him on X, and he's on there quite a bit. I'm hoping he gets healthy, whatever it is. Why have you not fought?
He is an exciting guy to watch.
It doesn't matter. Everyone loves to watch Kevin Holland fight because he fights all the time.
Constantly. Yeah. He literally has built for a guy with a record as spotty as his, he's built some wealth for himself just by staying busy and getting after it when he does get after it. If we talk about Dan Ige is a guy, if you zoom out and look at his career as a whole, it's not spectacular, right? It doesn't jump off the page. He's 19-10. But then if you zoom in at individual fights and individual circumstances, he's a guy famously stepped up on short notice at UFC 303 to save that co-main event. He's a guy that has been in wars. He's always getting after it. He's a fun guy. He's talented. Is he ever going to fight for a title? Probably not. Is he going to be a guy that shows up when he's supposed to, even when he's not supposed to, and put out an unbelievable performance, or at least to his abilities? Yes. And I think you got to do him a couple favors here. Let's not give him a grappler. So if I'm looking at who should Dan Ige fight next, I think it's somebody like David Onama. Another striker, two guys that'll get after it. David Onama can be fun on the feet. Dan Ige, we know for a fact, is fun on the feet. It's sort of a mid-tier matchup, right? It's not somebody in the rankings. You're not really working towards a belt, but you're going to have some fun and have a good matchup there. So I think Dan Ige versus David Onama makes some sense.
Yeah, he's somebody that constantly brings the action, but I'm going to be honest, man. I think the fight both of them need a win, or both of them need to get a win right now, is Calvin Kattar.
Yeah, sure.
He's not. He's one.
If they haven't cut Calvin yet, and I'm not saying that like an asshole. The guy's 0-5 in his last 5. Like,
yeah, I would say because both of them are not. Neither one's going to wrestle. They're both going to stand. They're going to trade. Yeah. Kattar just has not looked great. If he gets a win, cool. If he doesn't, I mean, okay, they probably let him go. But he was in the rankings. He was in the rankings till this last fight.
Yeah.
So I mean. Dan's trying to get back up to that top ranking position, or in the rankings now, because he's probably going to get bumped out or drop at least 1 or 2 spots easily. But I would say probably give him the Calvin Kattar fight, get him a name, a win, and see what happens. I love Dan Ige. He is one of the hands down nicest guys, quiet, just, loves his family. Like everything about him he's just a great person. So I want to see him have some success. Not that I have anything against Calvin Kattar, but I think that'd be a good fight. Neither one going to be really worried about the wrestling aspect of it all. Let's stand and trade, try to get him out of there.
Yeah, actually, I like that matchup better than the David Onama one. So yeah,
I figured you would.
I think that's a solid matchup.
You were dropping shitty fucking matchups the whole night.
I'm pretty sure if we put up some sort of poll, like I've been doing my half, and you're like, Michael Chandler.
Where do you want to put this up at?
I don't know. Ask wherever the smartest people are, and we'll let them vote. Then we have the co-main event. Paulo Costa, Roman Kopylov. Paulo Costa, underdog in that fight, was struggling to find a win, was struggling to actually show up. Paulo Costa's had more canceled fights in the last 5 years than actual fights. But he did show up, and he looked good, and he didn't even need the wrestling. He fought former professional kickboxer Roman Kopylov, a guy that has been knocking people out. All of his wins in the UFC have looked great. His losses were because he was getting taken down. So the logic coming into this was, can Paulo win? Of course he can. He's the better, more well-rounded fighter. He might need to wrestle. Will he win? Probably not. It's striker versus striker. Roman's a great striker, but that's not what we got. Paulo Costa came in here, used his striking, was ripping the body. He's always had that cardio, which is insane. A guy that tremendous with that much muscle somehow has cardio, but he always has had the cardio. He pushed the pace. He just out-dogged Roman Kopylov, stayed in his face, was always doing something. And before I get to my matchup here, what impressed me the most about Paulo is he was the exact opposite of Daniel Zel Huber, who was doing nothing. Paulo Costa, even when he was getting backed up, was throwing a kick while backing up, was throwing a punch while backing up. He was always doing something which prevented Roman from staying clean and trying to win some of those exchanges. So Paulo Costa needed this win. He matters for this division. It's kind of a weak weight class. He's a popular guy. He's a marketable guy. What do you do with Paulo Costa, given that he just got a win and we want to kind of keep that going?
Okay, so there's a couple things. I think if Chimaev loses, you give him Chimaev because that keeps Chimaev probably in that top 10, or not Chimaev, keeps Chimaev on in people's fresh on his mind. And that would be a great fight. They got a little animosity towards each other. Well, one does. One has some animosity towards the other. But if Chimaev loses to DDP, I think that's the fight you make.
Agreed.
If Chimaev wins, why not give him DDP? Or I actually prefer the Strickland fight, to be honest. I think DDP would end up getting an automatic rematch. Just my personal opinion. Or he may go up to 205 and fight Alex Pereira. Because there was some talk about those two guys fighting each other. DDP not being a small, a middleweight, him going up to 205. But I like the Strickland fight. Just say if everything's, if Chimaev wins, I think you put him with Sean Strickland. Both guys
and Paulo?
Yeah.
But they just fought and it sucked.
Yeah, we got it. But this is the Paulo that we're talking about. Paulo is basically saying like, hey, I'm new. I'm back. The one that fought Yoel Romero. Let's see. We saw glimpses of it during this fight. It wasn't the greatest. It definitely wasn't the Yoel Romero performance, but he's talking about pulling the trigger and letting it go. And that's the problem. We ran into the Izzy situation where he just didn't throw punches and he ended up getting finished.
He got drunk too.
Yeah, he got drunk the night before. And so I think, and then fighting Strickland, it wasn't great. Go out there, redeem yourself. It wouldn't be any different. Like I had someone say, like, hey, have him fight Izzy now. You're going to get a very, I wouldn't say similar fight, but he may clam up again.
Yeah.
So I'd rather have him fight somebody like Sean. Izzy's the more marketable fighter. You don't want him to beat Izzy. And Izzy's, right now, Izzy's chin's a little sus. So I would probably go with the Sean Strickland. I think in the back and forth would be great between the two of them. All of those things.
Yeah, I would. I want Paulo to get a win, but I need a meaningful fight as well because he is very highly ranked. You can't just give him a throwaway middleweight. So I do 100% agree. I had Hamzat written down. If Hamzat loses, obviously Paulo hasn't earned a title shot. I also said maybe Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen just got himself a win. Brendan Allen's got to work towards something. Paulo Costa versus Brendan Allen could be a fun fight. He's already beaten Marvin Vettori, so we don't need that matchup. But Brendan Allen versus Paulo Costa could be a fight that matters.
Yeah, I could see that happening. I could see that definitely happening. It's a fun fight. But Brendan Allen's he's on fire. Then he has one bad performance and on fire. But I mean, like he's got all the tools and the weapons. I'm surprised he didn't wrestle more. Could have probably made that fight a lot easier. But I understand. Like you don't want to blow your wad and end up on the feet, and Vittori's kind of turned into a one-trick pony. He's going to have to make some changes. So, but yeah, I look at that's actually a good pick. If you're going to say like if Chimaev wins, you don't want him to fight DDP. You don't want Costa to fight DDP. I would put him, like I said, against my guy, but then I don't mind the other fight though with Brendan Allen. Not a bad match.
Because if you're looking at, so Paulo Costa is very highly ranked, and if you're looking at the rankings, you have DDP, Hamzat, they're fighting each other. Nasser Nemavov, he's waiting for a title shot. Israel Adesanya is on that losing skid. We got Robert Whittaker, who's fighting this weekend, so maybe we can wait for the fallout. But these are all rematches. Paulo's fought all of these people. Yeah. Jared Cannonier potentially, but I think the Brendan Allen matchup makes a lot of sense. If we go to the other side, Roman Kopylov, the loser in this matchup, I don't know what you do because he did not have a very good performance. He really didn't do much. He's a very good striker, but I think the issue was quite literally the pressure. I don't think he could deal with how much was coming his way. So we're not looking anywhere near the rankings here. So I'm trying to look at who do we give him that's another stand-up base type middleweight that could be fun. And I think, I think you go, and a couple of these people are booked, so let's assume they win. But I think you either go Michelle Pajeda, who would probably wrestle, or you go McCall Olechachuk, whoever the hell you say his last name. Pure striker, exciting matchup, assuming... Actually, McCall could lose his next fight versus Gerald Mearshart. Doesn't matter. I think you do Roman versus McCall at the end of this year.
But why would you not have him just fight the guy who fought the same night and lost against Marvin Vettori?
Marvin Vettori will just take him down immediately, and then I think Marvin will just shoot immediately, and it won't matter. That's the only... I'm trying to avoid a grappler, because Roman has shown he can't beat grapplers.
That's not like Vittori's like a world-class wrestler. I mean,
he kind of is a very good wrestler. And Brendan Allen took him down, immediately got swept. And all of a sudden, Marvin Vettori's on top, raining down on Brendan Allen.
I don't see it happening. I don't see it. If Marvin Vettori is, I would like to see more of get one of these guys a win. They're both in the top 15. They got to fight each other. They both lost on the same card. They should both be ready to fight here shortly. It's a sink or swim. Kopylov, you either fucking do it or don't. And Vettori, you coming back? Are you making a run? What are you doing? He's going to have to make some. Vettori right now is just turned into a boxer, and wasn't even the best boxer against a fucking grappler.
Yeah.
Like Brendan Allen outboxed him, and twice. Once at the fucking hotel or the casino in Florida, I was sitting there front and center watching it, and then
you were there in person?
Yeah, I was there there.
What was that? What I forget what the circumstances were.
I never knew. I never heard why the circumstances happened, but we walked out of the venue because it was the PFL that night, and Tukos was there talking trash to Vettori, so they were getting into it a little bit.
Tukos?
Yeah, Tukos. Yeah, he was there.
And at that point in time, he wasn't even on the UFC roster.
I think he was.
Then like Brand, because it's about a year or two ago. So Brand must have been brand new signing. Yeah, okay.
Maybe. But anyway, he was there, and they were getting into it, like just mouthing off a little bit. And then I don't know how Brendan Allen got into it, but something was said, and all I saw was Brendan take off like his watch and his stuff and fucking hand it to his friend.
Like a girl.
And everybody but everyone just stepped back. And it was a perfect setting where they just walked towards each other, and boom, Brendan hit him with a fucking 2-piece and a biscuit and just rushed out. I was like, damn, this is fucking wild. Like, you know how to fucking fight. And he walked forward. But yeah, they got into it. It was a quick exchange, and that was it, man. That was the rest of it.
That's funny.
But
and then we go to the main event here. If we look at the main event, we have Max Holloway, Dustin Poirier, obviously. Max Holloway beat Dustin 90% of that fight, except that wild exchange in the second round. Division-wise, better for the division, right? You don't want a guy retiring with a belt on a win. Then what are you going to do? What is tricky, though, is Max Holloway, technically speaking, is the BMF champion. So he has a belt. The problem with that situation is the belt is very specific. It's the BMF belt. So you have to give him a matchup against somebody who qualifies. And if I'm looking at that division, there's really only a few people who actually are badasses. The rest of them are just trying to get a win, however they can get a win, not necessarily throw down. There is literally only one single person in that division who could qualify as let's say two. Charles Oliveira, but he's coming off that bad knockout. So I don't know if you necessarily throw him into a BMF title. Justin Gaethje, but he already beat him. That's how he got the title. And Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker's the only one coming off a win that fights like a man that could be thrown into this match. It's got to be Dan Hooker, because any fight that Max Holloway is in right now has to be for the BMF title. And you're not going to give him an Ilya rematch at lightweight. That's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple other guys I would throw in there as well, but I mean, like for me personally, it would be Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker's coming off the win. Dan Hooker's got a little run going right now, and look, the BMF title was made for guys like Dan Hooker, guys that may never be champion, but guys that are always bring the action. Like you said when we were off camera, his fucking body is falling apart.
Yeah,
like, you got to get him something, for him to fight for it. I think the BMF title is fucking right up his alley, man.
Yes.
And you can never have the BMF title on the line against a champion. Otherwise, it'll stay with a champion forever.
It's two belts in one, and that's stupid. Yeah. Yes, you literally have to have,
It'd be the dumbest thing ever. So I understand like they shouldn't be doing it. They shouldn't be having it against title fights, whatever it is. But and look, I don't mind the Charles one, but you just can't do it him coming off of a loss. You got to do it when he's coming off of a win. Because I would have even thrown, and you say I'm salty, which I'm a little bit, but I would even throw Michael Chandler in that mix a little bit. But he's got to get a win, man.
Yeah, he needs a win. Yeah. Sure.
Give him the Zel Huber fight. Let him get the win. Okay, like I talked about. And then we can go ahead and have a talk. We can have a talk about you fighting for the BMF. There was that. There was one other guy, and he just doesn't have a big enough name. Would be Saint Denis. Saint Denis, the way he fought against Dustin. I get it. No, I that's why I said he doesn't have a big enough name.
Yeah.
That's one. He hasn't been able to beat the best guys yet, but he had a great performance against Dustin until he got knocked out. But he was having some success. I mean, he had Dustin in a lot of trouble, man. And so I look at that fight and I go, like, down the line, I could see Saint Denis being a BMF title, contender, that kind of position. He may have a champion.
Because if we're looking at, and obviously the embodiment, first of all, the actual origination of the BMF belt was, we have Madison Square Garden. We have Jorge Masvidal versus Nate Diaz. That's kind of not a big enough fight for Madison Square Garden. Oh, wait, let's put a belt on it. And now it's a big enough fight for Madison Square Garden. That's where it came from.
Let's bring the Rock in, too. And by the way, bring the Rock in, have him strap it around the winner. Yeah.
That's literally why it exists. But I like it. I like it because now what it has become is, in an era, and you've been pretty vocal about this, in an era where athletes have showed up to the UFC, we're losing some of these all-time savages, because a lot of the people that had broken homes or just fought growing up and just have that fighter instincts at their core are getting a little too old to be fighting like that. And all the young, slick athletes are showing up and they don't want to get into these wars. So we're losing this, just like the Justin Gaethjes, the Dustins, the Maxes. We're losing these people that will just throw caution to the wind, ignore what their body and brain actually need for the next 20 years, and just put it out there for us. So I love that the belt is there for people like that. And unfortunately, it's not a weight class belt, but it kind of is tied to a weight class, right? Because Max has it right now. So unless he goes up to 70, which he's a big dude, but that might be a little too much, we're at the 55-pound division. Can't be Ilya, even though he kind of embodies that spirit potentially. We haven't really seen him in a ton of trouble, but can't be Ilya because he's the champ. Arman Sarukian certainly does not fight like a BMF. Charles Oliveira does, but he just got slept, so he needs to come off a win. Justin Gaethje does, but Max took the belt from him last year. Mateusz Gamrot does not fight that way. Dan Hooker does. Fiziev has, but his last win doesn't dictate a BMF. He wrestled to get that win. Paddy Pimblett, he's closer to a title than this kind of fight. Beneil Dariush does not. Moicano does not. Grant Dawson, the opposite of a BMF. Joel Alvarez, too slick. And now we're just so far out of the rankings, it doesn't matter anymore. Michael Chandler's the last one. And to your point, Michael Chandler does fight like that.
Yeah.
But he's on 3 losses in a row. So what are you going to do? Give him a title
you got to
shot?
wait for him to get a win. Give him Zel Huber, let him get a win, and we can have a talk. Yeah, I guess I was waiting for you to ask me, what does Dustin do now?
Who's the next matchup for Dustin?
There you go. I like that you asked it. His wife. His wife is the next matchup, right?
Looks like he already got after her because she. Hopefully, I'm not.
Yeah,
she looked pregnant.
Pregnant.
Okay, yeah. I was to say, hopefully she is. Otherwise, I just called her fat.
No. She's no. They announced it already and stuff. Yeah, good for them. I'm happy for them, man. He's had a great career. Love the guy. I think this is a fantastic position for him to be in. He did what a lot. If he would have won, he would have went down, like you said, with the Robbie Lawler situation, went down in history as being one of the guys that walked away at the right time. The only other person I would say that had more of a poetic walk away was GSP, but then they didn't do the whole presentation for him.
No, they were mad at him.
Yeah. Because he said he was going to defend it at least once, and that's when they gave him the title shot.
Yeah.
So he bamboozled the UFC, which is very rare for people to do. But he doesn't need the money. He knows what he was doing. He did it right. He understood what was at stake. They won't let me fight if I don't fight more than once. I will. But I think with Dustin did everything right. Yeah. He had a tremendous career. He's a fantastic person. He's got a beautiful wife. He's got a beautiful daughter. He has a life coming to him that, like you said, I'm going to go home with my daughter. We've already talked about what movies we're going to watch with some popcorn, and I'm going to barbecue. You're talking about living the American dream. This guy is going to be living the American dream. Yeah. I mean, I had friends that said, "Hey, can I come over and watch the fights with you?" And I was like, "No, man, buy the pay-per-view. It's his last fight. buy it.
Yeah,
Stay at
yeah,
home,
yeah.
watch it, and fucking
Give
buy
that
it.
guy a couple of dollars. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever it is, man. Another $2, extra $3.
Yeah.
So he's got. I don't think he realizes he's got another child on the way. He might be back because fucking kids are expensive.
I was gonna ask you if he comes back. I actually assume he does. I mean, there's two aspects to it. One is just like it's been Dustin's identity. It's been his entire identity as being a fighter, being at the gym, training with those people. And American Top Team is a family style gym. Like there's a core group of people that have been together forever. So leaving that, and it's not like it's around the corner. So he would have to go to Florida to train. He lives in Louisiana. There's also the money aspect. Obviously, Dustin's made a ton of money. He's fought for titles before, technically was a champion. Dustin's made a lot of money.
Does he live in Louisiana?
He was arguing with DC that he does.
I don't think he. I think he probably does like a 6-6, like a 6 month there, 6 month other location.
But without
live in fucking Florida in like June, July, and August.
Louisiana's not much better.
That's true. I never thought about that. That's true. Definitely isn't. There's fucking gators everywhere.
Yeah.
So,
but there's the money aspect where he's obviously made a ton. I don't know what I'm not his accountant. I don't know what residual income there is, but I would not be surprised because he's not that old. Like he's younger than half the people we broke down in this video. I don't know if 2 years from now, when he is 38 and he really hasn't made a meaningful chunk of money, that he got the family time, he's missing it all, he's itching, he's got this another kid. I wonder if he's going to come back. Jorge Masvidal just did this. He just did this exact same thing. Retired, realized like, hey, man, I could probably use a little more money. Did a little boxing, did a little, and now he's like unretired coming back to the UFC. And I wonder if that same thing will happen here.
did they bring Masvidal back?
They haven't announced anything, but he said I'm unretired and I'm fighting in the UFC. So
yeah,
maybe he's just trying to manifest it, but.
Well, the UFC gave him permission to go off and fight boxing, a couple of boxing matches that he put together with his own promotion. They said, yeah, go ahead. So the Nate fight came about. He lost the Nate fight.
Yeah.
Which was not good. So I think, look, there's room for those guys to come back, and there is fights for those guys to have. You've got the Masvidal Cerrone fight you could potentially do. You've got fighters in there. You got Connor and Nate that you could do if Nate did come back. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, man, that if the UFC brought Nate back. I know he's talked about Nate saying he wanted to come back and fight Connor, and you would always think that fight will sell no matter what. Yeah. That was my next question for you is, does the White House fight end up with Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor? Because there's no other big time fight that could potentially be on that lawn.
I think Conor McGregor is so far gone.
I get it, but
he doesn't need the money either.
No,
I
understand.
It's like, what could you even?
There are like the whole John Jones situation. There are things that motivate you to get back. I'm not a big John fan, but I'm saying that if you're gonna have Conor and you have Nate, literally the main event on the White House lawn. I can't think of another. I mean, outside of Tom Aspinall and John Jones, which I don't
even think not Conor's obviously the biggest draw. Period. Yeah. End of story. No matter what
John's not a
state he's in.
John's never been a big draw. Even in his prime, was never a big draw.
Which is crazy considering how good he is and his accomplishments.
Yeah,
and his controversies. Controversy should sell. It doesn't.
No.
It is crazy.
He's very unlikable.
But then I guess he's unlikable and not hateable enough either, because you don't even get the hate watchers.
No, I think people hate him so much they just tune him out now.
They refuse to.
I'm not giving that scumbag my money by buying a pay-per-view. People just literally the ran away from a pregnant woman with a broken arm, and ran back though to grab your drugs and then left. Like what? Like. Left a pregnant woman with a broken arm, but ran back and grabbed your drugs out of the car and then ran. It's just not a good look, man. And then this whole new thing, and then with your wife, it's just bad. Yeah, it's just a bad situation. Hey, but I want to just say this: like Dustin Poirier, right off into the sunset. I don't think he'll be back. I just don't think. I think what he'll do is.
I hope not.
What the hardest part for a fighter is that, you were making $2-3 million a year.
Yeah.
And now you're only making, let's just say, $250,000 a year. There's a big difference when there's another check coming in. You can go ahead and just do what you want. He seems like someone who lives within his means, which is nice. He has nice stuff. It seems like he takes care of himself. He has a good look to himself. I think what he will do is that he'll spend time being a father, but I think he'll still give himself about a month or two after, like, hey, I've been at home for 2 months, going stir crazy. You may potentially see him more involved in American Top Team. He's the leader. He's one of the top guys, if not, like he's one of the
The Mike Brown path.
Absolutely. He's respected across the board. It doesn't matter what fucking gym or where you go. Everyone loves Dustin. So I could see him being the Mike Brown 2.0 kind of thing, and just going through it. Dustin's a great kid and great family and great support. So I think he'll be back in some sort of facet like that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. He capped off a great career with a pretty exciting fight. Let us know if you liked the matchups that we put together for the fighters on this card. I'm Angelo. This is Josh Thompson. That was another Bad Takes.